What's up, all my movie-loving maniacs? It's your boy Bankful B of the Lassiter Factor, and I am back with part 2 of my ranking of every comic book and superhero movie of the 2020s so far. Yesterday, I gave you my 33 through 16, and in part 2, here's my 15 to 1. I'm doing this in honor of Thunderbolts, which comes out today, actually, on my birthday, so happy birthday to me. Now, emphasis on when I say of the 2020s so far, so which means I'm sticking to that 2020 to 2024 time period. So you won't see Captain America Brave New World or Thunderbolts on this list because both of those came out in 2025. And at the time when I'm recording this video, I have not yet seen Thunderbolts. I'm seeing it this Sunday night. And I'm sticking primarily on theatrical releases, so no comic book or superhero movies that went straight to streaming like The Old Guard or Samaritan, except for one, which you will see what it is at the, or near the end of the video, I should say. Get it? Got it? Good. Now let's get into it. At number 15 is Eternals, which I actually like more than most people did and think it's a lot better than what people give it credit for. I admire the movie for how ambitious it is. I like all the cast, but I will be the first to say that, yeah, this should have been a TV show where some of the, or most of the episodes focus on different Eternals. At number 14 is Black Adam. Look, is this a perfect movie? No, but is it a fun movie? Hell yeah. It's The Rock. You can never go wrong with The Rock. This movie knows what it is and tries to not be anything more. Dwayne Johnson tried to get this movie off the ground for years and even tried to take over the DC extended universe, talking about the hierarchy of DC is about to change. I'm like, womp, womp, womp. At number 13 is Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Does this work as a Sam Raimi movie? Yes. But does it work in context of the greater MCU? Not entirely. I do feel like they hardly scratched the surface with the multiverse, and this movie definitely contradicts Scarlet Witch's character in WandaVision and making her a full-on villain here. But I did like the places where they took the Doctor Strange character. At number 12 is Birds of Prey and the long-ass title of Harley Quinn. I remember this came out before the pandemic, and I really enjoyed this movie. I think this movie is actually pretty good, but I know some people think otherwise, and I can kind of understand. But can we at least agree that this is way better than Suicide Squad 2016? And besides, you can never go wrong with Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. At number 11 is Blue Beetle, which is a movie that came out during that last batch of DCEU movies, and I think it's one of the ones that actually was pretty good. I like the Spanish culture within this movie. I like the familial aspect within this film. I think everyone here did a fantastic job, and I'm curious to know if James Gunn has any plans with this version of this character going forward. Even though it's part of the DCEU, it could be part of the DCU, who knows. And now here you are with my top 10, and at number 10 is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. This is definitely one of the best Ninja Turtle movies ever made, and it's just funny how Ninja Turtles, they just work in animated form. I think TMNT from 2007 was a good Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, and in my opinion, better than the live action movies. And here they are again with even better animation that's inspired by the Spider-Verse movies. And I like all the voice casting here. They got actual teenagers to voice the turtles. At number 9 is Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, which it's not particularly my favorite post-Endgame movie, but I do think it is one of the better post-Endgame movies. It is a little frustrating that it's taken them this long to either make a sequel to this movie or for this character to show up in any future Marvel projects going forward. But overall, I did enjoy this movie until the third act when we started getting into dragons and the silly Kamehameha blasts, and I do feel like it is one of those movies that kind of came off of the Marvel assembly line, but still a good one nonetheless. From here on out, these are all the movies that I absolutely love. And coming in at number 8 is Deadpool and Wolverine, which was one of my favorite movies of last year. Now, despite the fact that I feel like, hey, take away all the multiverse stuff, take away all the Easter eggs and fan service, this is not that good of a movie, but at the same time, it kind of works in this movie's favor. It is fun seeing Hugh Jackman suit up once again as the Wolverine and seeing him interact with Deadpool. Deadpool is on his usual bullshit, and just fun watching them two fuck around in the multiverse. And it was a fitting send-off to the Fox Marvel Universe. At number 7 is the movie that did technically go to streaming, even though I said no streaming, but this is the one exception, and that is Zack Snyder's Justice League. Without a question, this is the superior cut from that 2017 Justice League movie. Yeah, it's 4 hours long, but once you get through that 4 hours, it is worth it. If it took 4 hours to get a more cohesive and better film, then A, mission accomplished. At number six is Black Panther Wakanda Forever, which I think is a worthy follow up to that first Black Panther film, but I know some people think otherwise, and I can understand why they feel that way. But at the same time, you gotta understand Ryan Coogler, he was dealt a bad hand with the passing of Chadwick Boseman, and I felt he did an excellent job of making a movie that not only honors and respects Chadwick Boseman, but also continues the legacy of the Black Panther mantle by making Shuri the new Black Panther. Even if I agree that, yeah, they should have just recast T'Challa, but for what they went with, I thought it was excellent. Plus, I think this movie does set up some consequences and repercussions that will affect the MCU going forward. And now getting into my top five with The Batman. Everybody was talking shit about Robert Pattinson being cast as Bruce Wayne Batman, and then we saw the movie. I was one of the people that was rooting for him because I had moved past Twilight, and I thought he did an excellent job here. In my opinion, this is the best Batman movie since The Dark Knight. I don't know why Warner Brothers and DC can't get their shit together with making a sequel to this, but hey, at least we got the Penguin TV series out of it. At number four is The Suicide Squad, the movie that got James Gunn the gig of running the DC universe. This was miles better than Suicide Squad 2016. Everyone here is firing on all cylinders. It's fun, it's action packed, and James Gunn, he was definitely cooking with this one right here. Staying in the realm of James Gunn, coming in at number three is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which not only was a great third entry in the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy, but it was basically James Gunn's swan song out of the MCU. To me, this is the best of the Guardians of the Galaxy films. It basically concludes everyone's story arc in this film. It does it so beautifully, particularly Rocket Raccoon. And while I doubt that this is the last Guardians of the Galaxy movie, or at least the last we'll ever see of this batch of Guardians, but if it is, this was a great movie to end it on. At number two is Spider Man No Way Home. Is his movie perfect? No, but to me, like, the Spider-Verse movies are a celebration of Spider-Man the character, and No Way Home to me was a celebration of Spider-Man in cinema. In my opinion, this is the best of the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies, and it was great seeing Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield suit up again as Spider-Man. And it was also great seeing previous Spider-Man villains suit up again as their respective villains. It's like Deadpool and Wolverine. They use all the multiverse stuff and all the fan service stuff, but I think it works better here because it actually serves the story on getting Tom Holland Spider-Man from where he was at the beginning of the movie to where he is at the end of the movie. And coming in at number one is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. This is my favorite because not only is the animation better than it was in the first film, but there's a reason Empire Strikes Back is my favorite sequel of all time because of how it ends on a cliffhanger, it ends on a dark note, it just leaves you with just enough to want more, and that's what I felt like this movie did for me. And it's just frustrating that it's taken them this long to finally get to part three, but hey, it was recently announced that it's coming out in 2017, so we won't have to wait too much longer. To me, this is just one of those movies that left such a good impression on me. But that concludes my ranking of every comic book and superhero movies of the 2020s so far. And here is a recap of that list. You can check it out on my Letterboxd account, just at Lassiter Factor, uppercase L, uppercase F. Thank y'all so much for watching. Now that you've seen the completed list, tell me, do you agree? Do you disagree? Tell me, what do you think of this list? And how would you rank every comic book and superhero movie of the 2020s so far? Let me know in the comment section below. This is your boy Pt.2 of the Lassiter Factor. Stay safe, wash your hands, peace.